Hi, everybody. The end of another week in lockdown. Okay, let's get going through what everyone's been up to. I'm just going to start quickly with the civil action cover sheet. I think we're almost finished with the coding. And David, you said that you are ready with an SME?
Yes, so whenever folks, so if we're at a time where we think we're ready to share with an SME or engage with an SME, I can get us an hour with someone.
That's all we need. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, next up on my screen is Nick of Nick and Jack. I'm not sure who's going to speak first.
So we're ready to, I guess after this, we're going to present, correct? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, then we're ready to go.
Okay, I'm excited to see what you guys have.
We're going to keep it really short because it's a casual Friday, right?
Yeah. I'm going to see how quickly we can get through it. Eric's smiling like it's not your first casual Friday, is it, Eric?
I was here last week.
Yeah,
when we did it, one that did not laugh.
The one that wasn't the casual Friday. Got it. Okay, got it. Okay.
So we do, to be clear, all right.
No, David?
Oh no, it's just I thought we had discussed maybe not doing demos on casual Friday.
Oh. Let's try and keep this one. If we stay away from language and we get through the rest of the thing, we can try. Why don't we just try and get through how much we can get through? Michelle, please stop shaking your head.
How about we set a hard stop on time?
That's what I'm saying. So we can get through as much as we can get through. We can say no language from admin, and we can set a hard stop. Okay. Okay, Blake, Aubrey, and Matt.
Hey, can you hear me? My headphones
I can hear you.
Acting up. So yeah, we're actually making a lot of progress this week. We're on our first round of testing after Michelle gave us a lot of good feedback. And then Aubrey also got our instructions and cover sheet to work. So everything's looking really good for next week to demo it.
Okay, good. I'm excited to see what you guys have been doing. Because I remember like a few weeks ago, I was on there with you guys trying to figure out some of the stuff. And now here you are with a fully formed interview. Really exciting.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Okay, so we'll set a time to demo that next week sometime. Okay, Sam and Mark. Just Sam.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing that we can update on at the moment is that we're considering maybe just tossing out the whole loop idea just because we've had a lot of roadblocks and we might need some more outside help at some point in the future. Michelle was helpful the first time, but I guess we weren't able to exactly like take on the rest of the work on our own. So we might just do like show if stuff and make it like a lot more simple, and that could get smoothed out during testing.
Okay.
But yeah, we're just trying to consider some other options.
Can I confirm the minimum viable product idea? The idea isn't we're like trying to improve the forums. We're just trying to get them as good as they are online, right?
Right. So we're trying to beat the PDF. So right now
like a paper form doesn't ask for loops, so we don't really need to either.
No, so basically the whole concept is that we're trying to go from skateboard to car. So we're trying to build something that is as good or a little bit better than what the user can access right now, which is a fillable PDF. I think that's the case in your
and to the extent that we have existing basic question libraries, which you had talked about before, then we'd like to incorporate those too. So things like the address selector and stuff like that. So you'll
address, yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's basically your MVP is supposed to basically equal or be a little bit better than the PDF. And then we kind of improve, iterate from there.
So I think the question is being able to loop through, I don't remember if it was plaintiffs or defendants or whatever, is that part of the MVP, or is a hard-coded number of defendants or plaintiffs sufficient for the MVP?
I think, well, this actually comes to sort of a practice question as to whether or not people actually use up all the spaces on the form normally.
Yeah,
what's the form again?
It's a supplement of indigency, affidavit of indigency. So essentially a question like, do you have a job? Yes, okay, and then you input the occupation, employer, and all that. in the real world, people might have way more than just one job. So we want them to be able to not just have to stop at 3 if they possibly have 4 jobs.
Okay, and so the form has 3.
The form just has
No, it doesn't.
open-
It's just one long text
Oh, it
field.
just has one long text.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the form effectively has more than 3 if people put in multiple.
Yep.
So in that case, there does need to be some way to account for at least the space that's on the form.
Mhm.
And
But-
the way we have it now is the show ifs, so we can
Mhm.
continue adding those, and it's worked for now. And I think the user interface, like, it's friendly, it works, and it's kind of clean. So we've been spending a lot of time trying to learn the loop rather than at the point we're at now where we have the show ifs kind of still works, and I think is very user friendly, and it does the job.
And how many options does it give folks to be able to add then?
For now, we've been doing 3 as a minimum. We just keep on asking, would you like to add another? Would you like to add another? And that option pops up. So we can keep doing that, like, I guess, for as many as possible, as long as we can, arrange that in the PDF to input all that data correctly. But I guess the other thing is, since we're doing an affidavit for indigency, I also don't see some of the questions that we're struggling with being, like, for instance, if someone's claiming they don't have enough money, I don't see them having 5 or 6 jobs. I think, 3, even 2 might be the max.
I'm clicking on the PDF now, and there's 2 large text fields under the employment. So I guess we only ask for 2.
And is it only this employment field where this issue is coming up?
No, we got a
We're
couple of
asking for
things
multiple.
as well.
There's real estate and bank accounts also have to. Did we subdivide this? Did we change the PDF? I don't know. This is the most recent PDF that has been going around.
They were already subdivided. It just
Okay,
for every like occupation, it needs to know the employer and the address, so it kind of separates those into 2 text.
And then the other one regarding bank accounts, I figured we could just do, since it's only asking for what kind of accounts you have in a bank, I figured we can do 1 for check-in, 1 for savings, and 1 for money market, because those are the 3 basic. It's not going it's not going into any like investment accounts or anything like that. So I just think having the 3 traditional banking options would be more than enough.
But the minimum viable product is just let the user just write it like they would on the form, right?
Yeah, that would be the very base. I think what we need to do, there's an empirical question here about how these forms are used in practice. So sometimes people write extra things in on forms or do stuff that's outside the lines of the forms. So I think when you interface with your SME will be when we'll know whether or not these actually are sufficient. So I think for now, you could probably get away with this. I think it's a cleaner option, obviously, if you could loop, but then you're gonna have to limit it at some point because I think it looks like you're limited to space, or we're gonna have to get into the addenda issue. I think that we could probably go with what you have now. We're gonna still interface with the SME before you get done for us to give the court, and the SME will be able to provide feedback on whether or not these are sufficient numbers of loops, or whether or not, oh, well, we never actually use the form. We always actually throw an additional page on, so we gotta have room for all these 500 things.
Okay.
And just to provide context, the supplemental affidavit for energy agency, you may have situations where people are asking to not have to pay fees or to pay reduced fees. So it's not necessarily the same as someone who has absolutely no money at all. So, and my understanding is actually that the supplemental gets used for people who seem to have more income than just sort of very bare bones. So I just want to be careful about making assumptions about the use case, which is why we talked to the SME.
Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like we'll just do the show us for everything, kind of have like a really clean, simple version, even if it's not like the most optimized version, just so we can get it to the SME and figure out where to go from there.
Unless you're really close with the loops and you think that's actually going to get you there, but I see no's on that. So, okay, then we should continue to think about loops, but I think for now you can just do the quick and dirty.
So then you flag that
understanding that when we talk to the SME, it may turn out that this is not sufficient.
Right.
So basically flag it. Flag it as something that when you do your SME review, that's going to be something that you're going to bring up and talk to them about.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you have time in between, like talking to the SME, like if you find yourself with extra time and nothing to do and want to talk about loops, we can definitely have a deeper conversation about loops and do some
Okay,
exercises.
thank you for that,
but-
Michelle. Okay, so I think that the next thing is Mia, and it's just Mia, it's not Vinny today.
Yeah, so we have pretty much implemented all of the suggestions and edits and everything. And so I kind of started redoing the scenarios and like switching the test template. But the only thing for our interview that we are waiting on still is, in order to get the impoundment text on the cover sheet, I think Michelle said that basic questions has to be changed. So we're still we have to wait on that.
We also said we'd redesign the cover sheet, right?
This is the cover sheet for the user.
No.
No, the cover
That
sheet.
prompts them that part of it has been impounded, so that they know something on the form has been impounded, either the user's address or phone number, or the other party's address was impounded.
Actually, now my recollection is that we decided we didn't have to edit the cover sheet, but that we would have pinned it as a note at the beginning of the comment. So that's a programmatic question, yeah, about joining strings.
Well,
So I think what I want to do is have a meeting with Kate and figure it out. I don't think this is really an emergency to get on, so I just want to do it the right way. And I don't think that's by adding it to that big block of text at the bottom. But I
so
don't hate here today though.
so letting someone put arbitrary text in there is fairly easy. But I think the determination was that we don't want to let people put arbitrary text in there. We want the cover sheet to be controlled, right? That was
There is arbitrary text for the comment. I think the question is, what should be the controlled text for the statement of
I mean,
impoundment?
we don't want coders to be able to choose arbitrary text for the cover sheet. Like the note to the clerk is arbitrary, but a developer should not be choosing the right.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Quentin will come up with how. So Quentin's going to have a conversation with Kate.
Okay.
She's the one who's had the most thoughts about how that should look on the cover sheet.
Okay.
So.
And so for those developing it, the thing is just that you're capturing the fact that there's an impoundment with a variable, and then once it's determined what to do with that, we'll do something with it. So you're fine right now having something that just captures that information, but doesn't do anything with it yet, because we got to figure out exactly what we want to do with it.
Okay.
And my sense from Kate's gone back and forth on that a bit. So I don't think, from what she said, that this is a critical thing for us to have for MVP. If that makes sense.
Which might mean hiding. Well, actually, no, because we're just using sort of data exhaust. It's like you've already asked about impoundment for another reason. So you still want to have that question. So we might just,
Cool.
So don't worry about it for now.
I think that's enough out of that.
Yeah. Good.
So Quentin, can I ask that you speak to Kate during the course of next week, and we can come to some kind of decision on that?
Yep, I'll message her and grab a meeting. If anyone else would like to be part of it, that's fine too. Maybe, I know Caroline had been part of our early conversations. We went back and forth on that like 10 different times, I think, probably so far.
Okay. And then Mia, obviously, will and everybody will let you guys know what the decision is. Okay, Finola and Sinead, how are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We have our action points from the demo yesterday, and so we're working on those. We're hoping that we can kind of have the interview updated by next week, so we can get back to testing and kind of clean up our test cases and our template to match the updated interview. Okay. So we're just kind of working on the action points from yesterday.
And then I think what will happen is that we're just going to have to figure out how to hand over. We want to kind of have a seamless handover of as seamless as possible of your work to somebody else who's going to take it across the finishing line.
So don't worry, we're not going to disappear.
Yeah, but I think you're going to be able to get it to a nice spot. You have plenty of time to integrate a lot of those feedback.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, Mike, how are you and Tyler doing?
Good. We're just putting the final edits on the motion to vacate default judgment. And then for the consumer default, we have the meeting on Tuesday with Matt.
Yeah.
That's
At 9,
pretty
and
much
Quinton's going to be there as well.
Mhm.
Okay. Looking forward to it. And then I need to speak to Tyler about testing, where you guys are on that. I'm just going to make a quick note here so I don't forget. Okay. Who else do we still have here? Is that everybody? Oh, James and Jason and Eleni.
Hello.
Hi.
So we met with Michelle yesterday and we got some more action points. We did those, and then we're having another meeting with Michelle on Monday to go through more questions that we have and things like that.
Okay, brilliant. I saw you wrote to me about asking about the base information tab. I just wrote back now and saying that it should really just be linked to one. There should be one single source of truth. There shouldn't be many. Because if you need to change something in base information, you don't want to be changing it throughout. So I think that's the upshot of that. So you can just write to me if you have any more queries about that.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I think we can now switch over to the demo.